posted by user, Welcome to Wonderland. When I was 14, I saw what I believe to be a dark entity or demon on Halloween. Has anyone experienced anything similar? Sorry it's a long read, but I'd appreciate anyone that could give me any insight on this, or even just their opinion. 10 years ago, when I was 14, myself, my cousin and friend all had what I can only describe as demonic experience on Halloween. I wanted to see if anyone else has had a similar experience or knows what this could have been. So Halloween 10 years ago, the three of us decided it would be scary to walk through the woods nearby where I lived. I knew my way around well, as I had grown up going there. We were walking along chatting as we approached the middle of the woods. By a hollowed out tree I see a yellowish glow. I stopped where I was and my cousin and friend also stopped. I just stared at this glow as it got brighter, and they did too. We all glanced at each other with a what the fuck look on our faces. I am literally thinking I'm imagining things or something, but they both confirmed they were seeing the same thing. In the glow a young girl appeared. She looked to be about 8 years old, and was dressed in a dress that looked to be from the Victorian times and had pigtails hanging down either side of her face. She started off looking quite washed out in color and kinda transparent. She became more of a solid looking shape and the glow got brighter. As we're watching this, we're all whispering, confirming what we're looking at. As the glowant girl became more prominent, I went from feeling normal and in disbelief to feeling uneasy, then fear and dread, then finally like we needed to get out of there and that our lives were possibly in danger. I can't put into words all the feelings I felt, but none of them were good, and I've never felt anything like it. I could tell my cousin and friend felt it too. The glowing thing then moved closer to us. There were no footsteps, no sounds, no nothing. It then looked and felt as if it was dashing at us, and it was literally so close in front of us. I shouted, "Run!" We all grabbed hands and made a run past it, toward the main road where there was lots of light. We stopped briefly as we turned and couldn't see anything, and then suddenly it was there again. It was fast and all we could see was this glowing person-like shape rushing towards us. We ran as fast as we could until we could see the main road. I glanced behind and it wasn't far away at all. I grabbed my cousin and friend's hands again and started pulling them down the steep hill as the main road was at the bottom of it. We stumbled and half fell down this hill, but all managed to keep getting to our feet. I'm sure this was down to pure terror and adrenaline. We got onto the path by the main road and looked up at the woods, and the glow was there, clear as day at the top of it. It wasn't coming towards us at all anymore. We caught our breath and were ranting about it to each other. We were all confirming what we had seen and felt. The glow was still at the top of the hill. It was as if there was an invisible boundary that it couldn't cross. We turned away from the woods, and when we looked back it had moved to behind a tree. It was almost as if it was stood behind a tree watching us. We stood at the bottom of the hill, by the main road, looking at it for about 30 minutes, maybe longer. Eventually it was gone, and I just about saw a slight glow in the distance of the woods, then nothing. Sorry it's a long read. The three of us have spoken about this on and off for 10 years and still the experience is clear as day. It's so hard to put the feeling of fear and that I needed to get out of there into words. We returned a week later because we all knew what we saw, but we wanted to check there was no possible way light could be shining there. It was literally pitch black, no light was visible, and we retraced our exact steps. Has anyone ever seen something like this or even felt something like this? Extra information: my cousin's Nan was a white witch. She told us she knew something had happened before we told her about this experience. She told us she could feel the residual energy of a dark entity on us. She also said that we did the right thing by running and that our gut feeling was right and the night could have ended very differently. Edited to add, the woods was near where I lived and I had been going there since I was a child. I walked our dog over there almost every evening with my dad until I was about 9 or 10 and I'd never experienced anything like that before. I'd been over there at night after that experience as well and never experienced anything again. I thought that the fact it was Halloween could have possibly been significant because of this. I thought it possibly could have fed off of our energy to become stronger and appear as a full apparition because it started out as a light glow and a child only appeared and became more of a solid figure as we stood there watching. Posted by user slingblade09, who was talking to my son in his sleep. So this is a true story and happened about 2 years ago now. I got divorced and moved in with my mum on our family farm in rural South Georgia. The house we moved into was my grandmother's childhood home. It is huge and surrounded by our produce field. When I first moved with my boys, ages 2 and 4 at the time, they loved it. It has so many rooms and had so much more space to run and play than our shitty little apartment in Orlando. As time went on though, they started saying little things such as there are monsters upstairs, and the funny thing is, every morning I would shut the doors upstairs. They unsettled me too. Every morning I would wake up and they would be open again. I always chalked it up to the old house having drafts. Eventually the boys didn't like being alone in certain rooms, or in the house alone at all. During the time I spent there I did notice little things. Now that I look back, I think they must have seen more than I did. After about 2 years I finally found a good man. We started off slow with small little casual dates. He even included the boys, which was very surprising and different. We were inseparable, even if it was just sitting around the house. One night we decided to sit outside and talk. The boys and my mom were inside asleep. My room was across the house, so we decided to call my phone and put it on speaker. We muted his phone and also put it on speaker. We sat on the porch and talked for hours until early in the morning. All of a sudden we both froze mid-conversation. We can hear a man speaking through the phone in my bedroom. He isn't saying something we can make out, but the voice is terrifying. My son is sleepily mumbling back to the man. We both looked at each other and took off, bursting into the house to find both of my boys still sound asleep and the room silently empty. I don't know why, but it bothers me after all these years. Who was talking to my son? Posted by user Panda Ruffles. I used to live in a very old redone train station. My room had the door to the attic and I heard a lot of unexplainable stuff. For a brief time in my childhood we lived in a redone train station in Buttcrack, NH. Small town with like 400 people but still a few things to do, and a decent amount of wealth. So the bottom floor of this building is a super popular local pizza shop, and we lived right over them. I was 9 at the time and my bedroom had a very old decrepit door. Lol cliche I know, but it really was like rotted wood, to stairs that lead to the attic. The whole attic was pretty decrepit as if they never redid that part. Old, creaky, some weird smells and all that. I got terrible vibes from the attic. I was terrified to be in my room alone. I was 9, so I could have just been paranoid because I was interested in paranormal stuff at the time. We lived there for 1 year. I heard voices of people I knew, knocks on the door from the attic side, and the door would frequently slam itself open. I eventually asked my mom to install the heavy lock on it because it scared me so bad. We got the padlock, not anything crazy, but it was the same kind you would put on a locker. Now that I had that, the door would just shake and shake like someone was stuck in there trying to get out desperately. That continued for a few months with no escalation. Just the door seeming to be alive. Our kitty had a way to sneak up to the attic and back through a rotted part of the door, and one day we hadn't seen her for a while, so we checked up there and found my cat dead in the corner of the attic, and we thought it was maybe rat poison that we didn't know was up there, but the vet didn't find any poison in her and said it was old age, but she was only 5. I guess it's possible, and my mom didn't want to spend more money trying to find out why it died. Things got a lot worse after that night we found our cat up there. I started to hear my mom up there a lot, and I would just assume she was up there cleaning or something. She would just say pretty normal things someone would say talking to herself, and it was definitely her voice. And sometimes she would ask me stuff like if I wanted anything at the store or what I felt like for dinner, if I was going anywhere this weekend, etc. Things she asked me pretty regularly. It was loud and clear, not different from her normal speech at all. And then I would answer the questions and get no reply. So I'd go up there and see she wasn't up there, sometimes she wasn't even home. I stopped checking if she was up there after a couple times of that. I stopped replying too. My mom heard it herself twice. She was cleaning my room and said she heard someone in the attic, and the first time she assumed it was just someone down in the pizza shop. But the second time, it said my name. I'm back from the store, come help put stuff away, and my mom got scared and finally believed me. It's like it was a recording of her talking. After we became more aware of it, it just stopped. But there was one more time we felt it. My mother was cleaning in my room and I heard her yell no, and then she had a seizure and I called my friend who called the cops. I moved out soon after. Still the weirdest, and really the only undeniable experience I've had to this day.